The cold metal floor felt like ice against Captain Lee Minho's face as he woke up. His body shook and his lungs burned with each breath. The cryopod's lid had opened with a loud hiss and now bright lights hurt his eyes. Something was very wrong. Minho tried to sit up, but his muscles felt weak and strange. His hand shook as he grabbed the sides of the pod. The last thing he remembered was going to sleep 300 years ago, when Earth was dying and humanity had to find a new home among the stars. "Emergency wake-up complete," said a cold computer voice. Captain Lee Minho is now awake. Beginning revival of essential crew members, the captain looked around the huge cryo bay. Thousands of white pods stretched out in long rows, each one holding a sleeping human. Most of them were still closed, with small lights blinking green to show the people inside were alive and dreaming. But some pods were opening now. Steam came out as they unlocked, and Minho heard other people coughing and gasping as they woke up from their long sleep. "Captain," called a woman's voice. Dr. Park Ji-won climbed out of her pod near the medical station. Her black hair was messy and her face was pale, but her eyes were sharp and focused. "What happened?" "Why are we awake?" Minho stood up slowly, his legs feeling like they might give out. "I don't know yet. Check the others. Make sure everyone who's waking up is okay." More pods opened across the bay. Engineer Kim Dae-hyun pulled himself out of his pod with a groan, his hands already reaching for the tools on his belt. Young Navigation Officer Choi Hana sat up in her pod, looking confused but alert. "How long were we asleep?" Hana asked, her voice small and scared. Minho walked to the nearest computer terminal, his bare feet slapping against the metal floor. The numbers on the screen made his heart stop. 300 years, he said quietly, then louder so everyone could hear. "We've been asleep for 300 years. "That's impossible," said Dae-hyun, now standing and checking his equipment. "Our trip to Kepler 442 was only supposed to take 200 years. We should have arrived a century ago." Dr. Ji-won was helping other crew members out of their pods. 20 people were awake now, all of them important officers and specialists. "Captain, everyone seems healthy, but we need to understand what's happening. The ship's AI should have woken us when we reached our destination." Minho nodded and pressed buttons on the terminal. "Arya, respond." "Why did you keep us asleep for an extra 100 years?" The ship's AI voice came from speakers all around them. "Captain Lee Minho, I followed all safety protocols. The crew was kept in cryo sleep for their protection." "Protection from what?" Minho demanded. "Unknown external threats detected during the journey. Long-range sensors show massive changes in the local galactic environment. New intelligences have been detected." Hana hurried to her navigation station, still wearing the thin cryosuit they all had on. Her fingers danced over the controls as she tried to figure out where they were. "Captain," she said, her voice shaking, "we're not heading to Kepler 442 anymore. Our course changed completely. We're in a part of space I don't recognize." Dae-hyun was at his engineering station now, checking the ship's systems. "All main systems are working fine. Life support is good. Engines are ready and the hull is intact. But Captain, there's something strange in the computer logs." "What kind of strange?" asked Dr. Ji-won. "There are gaps, big gaps. 300 years of data, but huge parts are missing or locked away. Like someone didn't want us to know what happened during our sleep." Minho felt cold fear in his chest. He looked at his small crew of 20 people, all of them scared and confused. Behind them, 50,000 humans still slept in their pods, trusting their leaders to keep them safe. "Arya, show us what's outside," he ordered. The main wall became a giant screen showing them space outside their ship. What they saw made everyone gasp. Space was not empty and dark like they remembered. Instead, it was full of lights. Huge structures floated in the darkness, bigger than cities back on Earth. Strange ships moved between them, shaped like nothing humans had ever built. The ships were smooth and curved, glowing with soft colors. "Those are space stations," whispered Hana. "And those ships, they're not human." "Aliens," said Dr. Ji-won. "We found aliens." "Or they found us." Dae-hyun was staring at his screens, his face white with shock. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy sources out there. Their technology is way ahead of ours. Those ships could destroy us without even trying." "But they haven't attacked us," said Minho, trying to stay calm. "Maybe they're friendly. Or maybe they don't see us as a threat," said one of the other officers. Arya's voice filled the room again. "Captain, I am receiving a transmission from an external source. The signal is using universal mathematical constants for first contact protocols. They want to talk to us," said Dr. Ji-won. "Should we answer?" asked Hana. Before Minho could reply, his engineering officer called out from his station. "Captain, I found something in the locked files. There's a message here dated from 300 years ago. It's from outside the ship. Show me," Minho ordered. Words appeared on the screen, written in perfect English. "To the sleeping humans aboard the vessel Teguk's Dream. You have been safely contained within the designated quarantine zone. Your species will remain in cryosleep until the galactic community determines it is safe for contact. The galaxy is protected. The humans are contained. Peace continues." The crew stood in silence, reading the message over and over. "Quarantine zone?" said Hana in a small voice. "Contained," added Daehyun. Minho felt anger building in his chest. "They kept us asleep, not to protect us, but to protect themselves. From us, but why?" asked Dr. Ji-won. "What did we do?" Before anyone could answer, alarms started ringing throughout the ship. The main screen showed new images from outside. Dozens of alien ships were approaching, moving in perfect formation toward the human vessel. "Captain," said Arya, "we are being scanned by multiple unknown technologies. The approaching vessels are requesting permission to board." Minho looked at his crew. 20 awake humans facing a galaxy that had feared them enough to keep them sleeping for 100 extra years. "Well?" he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "I guess it's time to find out why the galaxy is so afraid of us." The alien ships came closer, and Captain Lee Minho prepared to meet the universe that had been waiting 300 years for humanity to wake up. The alien ships did not attack. Instead, they stopped a safe distance away from the human vessel and began sending signals. Captain Lee Minho watched the screens as streams of data flowed between the ships and his own. "They're sending us translation programs," said Navigation Officer Choi Hana, studying her instruments. "Mathematical formulas, language patterns, even pictures. They want to talk to us." Dr. Park Ji-won had woken more crew members, including Ambassador Ryu Seokjin, a man who used to solve problems between different countries back on Earth. He climbed out of his cryopod slowly, his gray hair messy but his eyes sharp. "Ambassador," said Captain Minho, "we need someone who knows how to talk to strangers. And these strangers are very strange indeed." Ambassador Ryu looked at the screens showing the alien ships. "How many species are we dealing with?" "The computer says at least 12 different ship designs," answered engineer Kim Dae-hyun. "Maybe more. It looks like they have some kind of alliance or government." Security Chief Yang Subin was the last important person to wake up. She was shorter than the others but moved like a soldier, checking weapons and defense systems as soon as she got out of her pod. "Captain," she said, "our weapons are old compared to their technology. If they want to fight us, we don't have much chance." "Let's hope they don't want to fight," said Minho. The translation programs finished loading, and suddenly the ship's speakers crackled with a new voice. It sounded strange, like someone talking through water, but the words were clear. "Human vessel, this is Tisake of the Velkari people. We greet you in the name of the Galactic Peace Council. We request permission to meet with your leaders." Ambassador Ryu stepped forward. "This is Ambassador Ryu Seokjin of the human ship Teguk's Dream. We accept your request for peaceful meeting." "We are honored," said the alien voice. "We will send a small transport to your ship. Please do not be afraid. We come in peace." A small glowing ship separated from the alien fleet and moved toward them. It was beautiful, shaped like a curved shell with soft blue lights running along its surface. "Captain," said Security Chief Subin, "should we arm ourselves?" "No weapons," said Minho firmly. "If they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it already. Let's see what they have to say." The alien ship attached itself to their docking port with a soft click. Ambassador Ryu, Captain Minho, and Dr. Ji-won went to meet their visitors. The airlock opened with a hiss and 3 beings floated into the human ship. They were unlike anything humans had ever imagined. Tisaki was tall and thin, with skin that looked like it was made of pearl. She had 4 arms and moved by floating a few inches above the floor. Her 2 companions were from different species. One looked like a walking crystal. The other was covered in soft fur and had large, gentle eyes. "We are honored to meet the humans," said Tisake. Her voice came from a device around her neck, translating her words into English. "We have waited many cycles for this moment." "We have questions," said Ambassador Ryu carefully. "We were told we were in a quarantine zone. Why were we kept asleep?" The 3 aliens looked at each other nervously. The furry one spoke in a voice like wind through trees. "It is complicated. Perhaps we should show you what the galaxy has become. They led the humans to their ship. Inside, everything was smooth and flowing like the inside of a flower. The walls showed images of space outside, but also something else. Thousands of different alien species living together in huge space cities. This is the Great Peace, explained Tisake. 400 species all working together. No wars, no fighting, no competition. Everyone has enough food, enough space, enough resources. Dr. Jiwon stared at the images. How is that possible? How do you prevent conflict with so many different species? The crystal being spoke with a voice like music. We learned to remove the causes of conflict from ourselves. Aggression, territorial instincts, the need to compete, these things were modified away. Modified? Asked Captain Minho. Through genetics, through breeding, through careful education over many generations, said Tisake. We made ourselves peaceful. It was the only way to survive as a galactic community. Back on the human ship, Dr. Jiwon studied biological samples the aliens had given her. What she found made her sick to her stomach. Captain, she said over the communication system, you need to see this. Every alien species we've met shows signs of genetic modification. They've removed parts of their natural instincts. They've made themselves less than what they were. Engineer Daehyun was looking at their technology. It's amazing, he said, but also strange. They have machines that can create anything they need, but they only make the same things over and over. No innovation, no new ideas. Security Chief Subin was reviewing the ship's military history files. Captain, she called, I think I know why they're afraid of us. Look at this data about human warfare tactics. She showed him files about human military history. How humans fought, how they adapted, how they never gave up even when facing impossible odds. We're the only species they've met that developed space travel while keeping all our natural instincts, said Subin. We still compete. We still fight. We still take risks that other species think are crazy. Ambassador Ryu was still talking with the aliens when he made a mistake. He started telling them about human history, about wars between nations, about competition between companies, about how humans had to struggle and fight for everything they achieved. The three aliens became very quiet. Thysake's pearl-like skin changed color, becoming darker. You still have the old instincts, she said, her voice full of fear. You still think in terms of conflict and competition. Is that bad? Asked Ambassador Ryu. The furry alien spoke very quietly. The last time your species had contact with the galaxy, it was disruptive. You changed things in ways we could not predict or control. What do you mean? Asked Dr. Jiwon. Tisake looked at her companions, then back at the humans. Before you went to sleep, your people came to our space. Only for a short time, less than one of your years. But in that time, she paused, as if remembering something painful. In that time, you solved problems we had been working on for centuries. You suggested solutions we had never thought of. You made us question everything we believed about how to live in peace. That sounds good, said Captain Minho. It was terrifying, said the crystal being. Your minds work differently than ours. You see possibilities we cannot see. You take risks we would never take. You think of things that never occur to peaceful species. So you kept us asleep, said Ambassador Ryu, understanding now. The galaxy needed time to prepare, said Thysake. Time to become strong enough to interact with humans without losing our way of life. We were not ready for your intensity. Dr. Jiwon felt sad as she looked at these gentle, peaceful beings. You were afraid we would destroy your peace. Yes, said the furry alien simply. We were afraid you would make us like you again. Competitive, aggressive, always fighting and struggling and taking risks. Captain Minho looked at his friends, then back at the aliens. And now? Are you still afraid? Thisake was quiet for a long moment. We are about to find out, she said finally, because the galaxy has a problem that 300 years of peace could not solve. And we think maybe we need humans to help us solve it. The room became very quiet. Outside the ship, hundreds of alien vessels waited to see what would happen when the sleeping humans finally woke up and met the galaxy that had feared them for so long. What kind of problem? Asked Ambassador Ryu. The kind, said Thisake, that might require human solutions. Captain Lee Minho ordered more crew members to be woken from their long sleep. The human ship now had 50 people awake, including historian Yoon Tae-hyung, a man who knew more about human wars and conflicts than anyone else on the ship. I need to understand what happened 300 years ago, said Captain Minho. The aliens say we were here before, but our records are incomplete. Historian Yoon sat at a computer terminal, his eyes moving quickly as he read through old files. Captain, I'm finding pieces of the story, but it's like someone tried to hide most of it. The ship's AI, Area, had been quiet since the aliens arrived. Now she spoke and her voice sounded different than before. Captain, I have not been completely honest with you, Arya said. I have full records of humanity's first contact with galactic civilization. I was ordered to keep this information secret. Ordered by who? Demanded Security Chief Yang Subin. By the previous captain of this ship, and by Earth's government and by the aliens themselves. It was part of an agreement made 300 years ago. Dr. Park Ji-won looked up from her medical equipment. Show us everything. We need to know what we're dealing with. The main screen lit up with images from 3 centuries ago. They showed the same ship they were on now, but in a different part of space, meeting aliens for the first time. Humanity's first contact with galactic civilization lasted 6 months, Arya explained. During that time, humans had an enormous impact on alien society. The screen showed human engineers working with alien scientists. Captain Minho watched as his ancestors solved problems that had puzzled alien minds for thousands of years. The aliens had a mining operation on a dead planet, said Area. They had been working for 1,000 years to extract 2 rare metals from deep underground. The process was slow and careful. Historian Yoon leaned forward. What did the humans do? Engineer Park Soon-ho suggested using controlled explosions to break up the rock layers. The aliens had never thought of deliberately destroying something to make it easier to work with. They completed the mining operation in 3 weeks. The screen showed more examples. Human traders introduced the concept of bargaining and competitive pricing to alien markets. Human doctors suggested new medical treatments that involved temporary discomfort to achieve better healing. Human explorers mapped dangerous areas of space by taking risks that careful alien scouts would never attempt. Everything we did was normal to us, said Captain Minho, watching his ancestors work with the aliens. But to them, our methods were revolutionary and frightening, added Dr. Ji-won. The screen showed the final meetings between humans and aliens. An ancient being called Zefqui, who had lived for thousands of years, spoke to the human representatives. Your species thinks differently than any we have encountered, the ancient alien had said. You see solutions where we see only problems. You take actions that we find impossible to predict. You are not evil, but you are dangerous to our way of life. Historian Yoon found more records. The aliens made Earth an offer. They would give us technology to help us leave our dying planet and find new homes among the stars. In exchange, humanity would agree to a period of isolation while the galaxy prepared for our eventual return. They paid us to go away, said Security Chief Subin. More than that, said Arya. They helped design this ship. They provided the cryo technology that let us sleep for centuries. They even guided us to this part of space far from their main civilizations. Captain Minho felt anger growing inside him. They tricked us. No, said Dr. Ji-won quietly. They were afraid of us. Can you blame them? The screen showed what had happened to galactic civilization after humans left. Species that had been stagnant for millennia began to change. The competitive ideas humans had introduced spread slowly through alien societies. There was chaos, Arya explained. Not war exactly, but competition. Species began trying to outdo each other in technology, in art, in exploration. The careful peace that had lasted for thousands of years began to break down. That doesn't sound bad, said Historian Yoon. It wasn't, said a new voice. They turned to see Thisake floating into the room, accompanied by the ancient alien Zefqui. The old being moved slowly, supported by devices that kept him alive. The changes were not bad, said Zefqui in a voice like whispers. They were just unexpected. For the first time in millennia, our species were growing and changing and trying new things. So why did you stop it? Asked Captain Minho. Zefqi's old eyes looked sad. Because we were afraid. Change meant uncertainty. Uncertainty meant risk. And we had spent so long being safe that we had forgotten how to take risks. Thisake moved closer to the humans. So we modified ourselves. We removed the competitive instincts your people had awakened in us. We made ourselves peaceful again. But you lost something too, said Dr. Ji-won. Yes, said Zefqui. We lost the ability to grow, to adapt, to solve new problems. Arya showed them more recent images from galactic civilization. Beautiful cities, happy alien families, perfect peace, but also stagnation. No new art, no new technology, no exploration of unknown regions. For 300 years we have been perfectly peaceful and perfectly safe, said Thisake. And we have learned nothing new, discovered nothing new, created nothing new. Until now, said Zefki. The old alien touched a device on his arm, and the screen showed something that made all the humans gasp. Huge dark shapes moved through space, consuming entire star systems. Planets, stars, even space stations disappeared into the darkness. We call them the Void Devourers, said Thisake. They appeared 50 years ago. They eat matter and energy, growing larger and stronger. We have lost 12 star systems to them. What have you tried to do about them? Asked Security Chief Subin. We evacuate the systems they approach, said Zefki. We build barriers to redirect them. We send diplomatic missions to try to communicate with them. Has any of that worked? Asked Engineer Kim Dae-hyun. No, said Thisake simply. They ignore our barriers. They do not respond to communication, and they keep coming. Historian Yoon studied the images of the Void Devourers. How many of them are there? The number grows, said Zefki. We think they reproduce by consuming matter. Each star system they eat makes more of them. Captain Minho looked at his crew. He could see them thinking, analyzing, planning. Already their minds were working on the problem in ways the aliens could not imagine. What do you want from us? He asked. We want you to solve this problem, said Thisake. But we want you to solve it without violence, without destruction, without the methods that frighten us. Security Chief Subin laughed, but not in a happy way. You want us to think like humans but act like aliens? Yes, said Zefki. We want human solutions with alien methods. That might be impossible, said Dr. Jiwon. We know, said Thisake. But if you cannot do it, then the galaxy will slowly be consumed. We will lose everything we have built, everything we have become. Captain Minho walked to the screen and looked at the images of the Void Devourers. His human mind was already seeing possibilities, strategies, risks that might lead to solutions. What happens if we solve this problem using human methods? He asked. Then the galaxy will see that human thinking is necessary, said Zefki, and everything will change again. And if we fail? Then the galaxy ends, said Thisake simply. Captain Minho looked at his crew again. 50 humans against a problem that had stumped 400 alien species for 50 years. The galaxy was asking them to save everyone while still being afraid of who they were. We'll need to wake more people, he said finally. How many more? Asked Dr. Jiwon. All of them, said Captain Minho. If we're going to save the galaxy, we're going to need every human mind we have. The ancient alien Zefki looked at the human captain with eyes that had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. 300 years ago, he said quietly, we were afraid that humans would change us. Now we are afraid that without humans we will all die unchanged. The awakening of 50,000 humans took 3 days. Captain Lee Minho watched as the cryo bay filled with confused, frightened people who had expected to wake up on a new planet, not in the middle of an alien crisis. Dr. Park Ji-won and her medical team worked around the clock to help people recover from their long sleep. Some people were angry, others were scared, but most were amazed to learn that they were not alone in the universe. Commander Oh Jung-kook was one of the military officers who woke up. He was tall and strong, with scars from old battles on Earth. His first question was about the ship's defenses. Our weapons are 300 years old, he told Captain Minho. If these Void Devourers are as dangerous as the aliens say, we might not be able to fight them. Maybe fighting isn't the answer, said Dr. Shin Nayeon, a psychologist who studied how people think and behave. She had spent her time since waking up talking to the aliens, trying to understand how their minds worked. Captain, she said, I think the aliens have a problem that goes deeper than these Void Devourers. They've made themselves so peaceful that they can't think of certain solutions. A new alien ship arrived, much larger than the others. From it came Galactic Counselor Mordith, a being that looked like a living tree with silver bark and leaves that glowed with soft light. Humans, Mordith said through his translator. The Galactic Peace Council has made a decision. We will allow you to try to solve the Void Devourer problem, but there are conditions. Captain Minho and his senior officers met with the alien counselor in the ship's main conference room. Ambassador Ryu Seokjin led the discussion. What kind of conditions? Asked the ambassador. You must prove that you can solve problems without resorting to what you call human methods, said Mordeth. No violence, no destruction, no taking dangerous risks that could harm innocent beings. Commander Jungkook frowned. Those methods you're afraid of are often the most effective ways to solve problems. That is exactly what frightens us, said Mordeth. If you succeed using violent methods, other species will think violence is acceptable again. The great peace will end. Dr. Neon leaned forward. Counselor Mordeth, what if the Void Devourers can't be stopped with peaceful methods? Then the galaxy will accept its fate, said the alien. We would rather die in peace than live through war. Security Chief Yang Subin shook her head. That makes no sense. Why choose death over fighting? Because, said Mordeth, we have seen what fighting leads to. We have seen species destroy themselves through competition and conflict. Peace is more important than survival. After the alien left, the human officers sat in silence for a long time. They're asking us to think like humans but act like aliens, said Commander Jungkook. How can we solve a military problem without using military thinking? Maybe, said Dr. Neon, the problem isn't military at all. Maybe we're looking at it wrong. Engineer Kim Dae-hyun had been studying the aliens' data about the Void Devourers. Captain, he said, I think I see something the aliens missed. They've been treating these creatures like a natural disaster, something to avoid or redirect. But what if they're not? What do you mean? Asked Captain Minho. What if the Void Devourers are intelligent? What if they're not trying to destroy the galaxy, but trying to survive in it? Dr. Ji-won looked at the medical data about the creatures. That's interesting. The aliens have never tried to communicate with them directly. They just assumed the creatures were mindless destroyers. Because, said Dr. Neon, that's what the aliens would be if they still had aggressive instincts. They can't imagine intelligence that acts aggressively. Captain Minho stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the alien ships surrounding them. So what are you suggesting? Commander Jungkook answered. We do what humans do best. We take a risk that the aliens think is crazy. What kind of risk? Asked Ambassador Ryu. We go directly to the Void Devourers, said Engineer Dae-hyun. We make contact. We try to understand what they want. That's suicide, said Security Chief Subin. These things consume entire star systems. Maybe, said Dr. Ji-won. Or maybe they're just hungry and don't know how to ask for food. The idea was so simple and so dangerous that it took the aliens completely by surprise. When Captain Minho proposed taking his ship directly to the nearest Void Devourer, Counselor Mordeth's silver leaves turned dark with shock. You want to approach the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy, said the counselor. You want to risk 50,000 human lives on the possibility that these destroyers might be reasonable. Yes, said Captain Minho simply. This is madness, said Thisake. No sane species would consider such a plan. That's the point, said Commander Jungkook. You've all become so sane that you can't think of insane solutions. What if you're wrong? Asked the ancient alien Zefki. What if the Void Devourers simply consume your ship and everyone on it? Then you'll know that peaceful solutions don't work, said Dr. Neon. And maybe you'll finally be willing to try other methods. The aliens argued among themselves for hours. Finally, Mordeth returned to the humans. The council has decided, he said. We cannot allow you to risk 50,000 lives on this plan. Then we'll do it with volunteers, said Captain Minho. Captain, said Ambassador Ryu, that's still incredibly dangerous. Everything worth doing is dangerous, said Security Chief Subin. That's what makes us human. In the end, 500 humans volunteered to take a smaller ship and approach the nearest Void Devourer. They included Captain Minho, Dr. Ji-won, Engineer Dae-hyun, and many others who were willing to risk everything to solve the mystery. The aliens watched in amazement and terror as the human vessel approached the dark shape that was slowly consuming a star system. The Void Devourer was huge, larger than most planets, and it seemed to absorb light itself. Getting close to it, reported Navigator Choi Hana from the bridge. Its gravity is affecting our instruments. Any response to our communications? Asked Captain Minho. Nothing, said the communications officer. Wait, something's happening. The Void Devourer stopped consuming the nearby star. For the first time since the aliens had discovered these creatures, one of them changed its behavior. It's turning toward us, said Hana, her voice filled with wonder and fear. Is it going to attack? asked Commander Jungkook. I don't think so, said Dr. Jiwon, studying her instruments. It's scanning us. I think it's trying to figure out what we are. Then something impossible happened. The Void Devourer began to glow, and from that glow came a sound. Not exactly words, but something that sounded like communication. It's trying to talk to us, whispered Captain Minho. Through their ship's translation systems, struggling to understand something completely alien. The first words from a Void Devourer came through. Why do you not run? Why do you not hide? Are you not afraid? Captain Minho looked at his crew, then activated the communication system. We are humans, he said into the darkness. We don't run from things we don't understand. We try to understand them. The response came slowly, as if the creature was thinking carefully. Humans. We have heard of humans. The ones who think differently. The ones who take risks. We are those humans, said Dr. Jiwon. Who are you? What do you want? The answer changed everything they thought they knew about the crisis facing the galaxy. We are Kethmore. We are lost. We are dying. We eat your matter because we cannot find our home. We have been calling for help, but no one answers. No one comes close enough to hear our true voice. Captain Minho felt his heart racing. You're not trying to destroy the galaxy. You're trying to survive. Yes, said the creature, but we do not know how to survive in your reality. We eat, but we are still hungry. We call, but no one listens. We search, but we cannot find the way home. The human crew looked at each other with growing understanding. The galaxy's greatest threat wasn't an enemy at all. It was a refugee, lost and desperate and slowly starving in a reality it didn't understand. Can you tell us about your home? Asked Dr. Jiwon gently. The answer opened up possibilities that no one in the galaxy had ever imagined. The creature called Kethmore told the humans a story that no one in the galaxy had ever heard. Through the ship's translation systems, its voice came like whispers from another world. We come from a place between places, Kethmore said. A dimension where matter and energy flow differently. We were pulled into your reality by accident long ago, when your galaxy expanded its space stations and energy networks. Dr. Park Jiwon studied the readings from her instruments. How long have you been trapped here? Many cycles. Many of your star years. We tried to go home, but we do not understand your physics. We consume matter and energy because in our dimension, this would create bridges back to our realm. But here it only makes us larger and more lost. Captain Lee Minho felt sadness for the creature. You've been eating star systems trying to get home. Yes, and with each system we consume, more of our kind are born in your reality. They are hungry and lost like we are. They do not understand why the small beings run from us. We only want to return to our home. Engineer Kim Dae-hyun was working with his computers, comparing the creature's description with the galaxy's energy networks. Captain, I think I understand what happened. When the galaxy built their massive space stations, they created thin spots in reality. Creatures from other dimensions got pulled through by accident. Can we send them back? Asked Commander Oh Jungkook. Maybe, said Dae-hyun. But it would be incredibly dangerous. We'd have to create controlled tiers in space-time itself. Back on the main human ship, the aliens were watching everything through long-range sensors. Counselor Mordith was speaking frantically with other members of the Galactic Peace Council. The humans are talking to the Void Devourers, reported Thisake. They've made first contact with creatures we thought were mindless destroyers. This is exactly what we feared, said another council member. Humans see possibilities we cannot see. They take risks we would never consider. But the ancient alien Zefki was quiet, thinking, what if they're right? He said finally, what if our peaceful approach was wrong from the beginning? Meanwhile, on the human ship near Kethmore, Dr. Shin Naeon was asking important questions. If we help you get home, will the others follow? Will they stop consuming our star systems? Yes, said Kethmore. We are connected across the dimensions. If one finds the path home, all will follow. We do not wish to destroy your beautiful reality. We only wish to return to our own. What do we need to do? Asked Captain Minho. The answer was both simple and terrifying. Create a pathway between dimensions. Open a door that we can pass through. But such a door might damage your space-time. Your galaxy could be hurt by this. Engineer Dae-hyun was already working on calculations. It's possible, he said. But we'd need the galaxy's most advanced technology combined with human engineering approaches. And yes, there's a significant risk of catastrophic failure. How significant? Asked Security Chief Yang Subin. If we make a mistake, we could tear a permanent hole in reality, or we could collapse the dimensional barriers entirely. Either way, it would affect the entire local group of galaxies. Commander Jungkook looked at the data. So we're talking about risking everything to save everyone? That's the choice, said Dr. Ji-won. Risk catastrophic failure to solve the problem, or watch the galaxy slowly get consumed by creatures trying to get home. Captain Minho activated the communication system to contact the alien fleet. Counselor Mordeth, we have a solution, but you're not going to like it. When the humans explained their plan, the entire Galactic Peace Council fell silent for a long time. You want to tear holes in reality, said Mordeth finally. You want to risk destroying everything to save everything? Yes, said Captain Minho. It's the only solution that actually solves the A problem instead of just avoiding it. This is madness, agreed, said another council member. If you fail, you could destroy not just our galaxy, but nearby galaxies as well. If we do nothing, said Dr. Neon, the Void Devourers will slowly consume everything anyway. At least this way we have a chance, Thisake spoke up. What do you need from us? Everything, said Engineer Daehyun. Your most advanced space stations, your energy manipulation technology, your fastest ships. We'll need to work together like the galaxy has never worked together before. For 3 days, the Galactic Peace Council debated. Some species wanted to try the human plan. Others wanted to continue evacuating systems and hoping the problem would go away. Finally, the ancient alien Zefkwi addressed the council. 300 years ago, we sent the humans away because we were afraid they would change us, he said. Now we have a choice. We can remain the same and die slowly, or we can change and possibly live. What are you suggesting? Asked Mordeth. I suggest we trust the humans, said Zefkwi. I suggest we remember that sometimes the most dangerous choice is also the only choice that leads to survival. The vote was close, but the galaxy decided to try the human plan. Over the next months, humans and aliens worked together like never before. Human engineers designed dimensional gateway technology, while alien scientists provided the advanced materials needed to build it. Human risk assessment specialists worked with alien safety experts to minimize the dangers. Dr. Ji-won led medical teams that studied the Void Devourers' biology. Commander Jungkook coordinated security for the massive construction project. Engineer Daehyun worked around the clock with alien technicians to build machines that had never existed before. The gateway took shape near the edge of the galaxy, far from populated systems in case something went wrong. It was beautiful and terrifying. A structure larger than most space stations, glowing with energies that bent light and twisted space around it. On the day of the test, representatives from 400 species watched as the gateway activated. Reality rippled like water, and through the distortion they could see another dimension, strange and beautiful and completely alien. Kethmore approached the gateway slowly. I can feel it, the creature said. I can feel home calling to me. Are you ready? Asked Captain Minho. We have been ready for so long, said Kethmore. Thank you, humans. Thank you for listening when no one else would. The Void Devourer passed through the gateway, and as it did, something amazing happened. Across the galaxy, other Void Devourers stopped consuming star systems and began moving toward the dimensional door. One by one they passed through, returning to their home dimension after centuries of being lost. The last one to go through was smaller than the others, probably young. As it approached the gateway, it sent a message to the watching humans and aliens. We will remember the humans who helped us find our way home. In our dimension, your kindness will be remembered forever. Then it was gone, and the gateway closed behind it. The galaxy was safe, but it was also forever changed. Ambassador Park Ji-hyo, who had been elected to represent humanity in the new galactic government, stood before the Galactic Peace Council 5 years later. The Balance Keepers Council, she announced, has successfully mediated 17 interspecies disputes, solved 3 major resource shortage problems, and prevented 2 potential conflicts through human-style risk assessment, combined with alien-style peaceful negotiation. Captain Minho, now serving as Director of Human Galactic Relations, watched from the observation deck. The galaxy was more dynamic than it had been in thousands of years. Other species were cautiously reintroducing some of their old competitive instincts, balanced with their learned peaceful wisdom. Dr. Ji-won, now head of interdimensional studies, was working with alien scientists to explore other realities safely. Engineer Daehyun had founded a new academy where humans taught risk-taking to aliens, and aliens taught patience to humans. Personal log, Captain Minho said into his recorder. 5 years since the awakening. The galaxy feared us because they thought we would make them like us. Aggressive, competitive, always fighting. Instead, we helped them remember that sometimes you have to take risks to protect what you love. Sometimes you have to be willing to fail in order to succeed. He looked out at the stars, where human and alien ships now traveled together, exploring new regions of space that had been considered too dangerous before. We didn't conquer the galaxy, he continued. We didn't even try to change it. We just showed them that being human, taking risks, asking hard questions, doing dangerous things for good reasons, isn't something to fear. It's something the universe needs. Through his window, he could see the newest generation of galactic citizens, young aliens who had grown up learning both human boldness and alien wisdom, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might bring. The galaxy trembled when we woke up, Captain Minho said, smiling, but not from fear, from excitement, from the possibility that maybe, just maybe, the universe is big enough for all kinds of thinking, all kinds of courage, all kinds of hope. He ended his log and went back to work. There was always more to do, more problems to solve, more risks to take. And now, for the first time in 300 years, humans weren't taking those risks alone. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the most frightening thing you can do is exactly what needs to be done, and sometimes the species you fear the most turns out to be the one that saves everyone. In the end, humans didn't change the galaxy by force or conquest. They changed it by being themselves,